The Real Monica Adams Show is brought to you by Exist Stretch. Stop by for your free consultation and 30-minute introductory stretch today.
Well, happy Monday and welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. We are in the Exist Stretch studios and thrilled to have you along. Hope you had a great weekend. We'll kick off the week, and will we have rain? We'll find out. We want to thank Exist Stretch for being a part of our show, the title sponsor over the last couple of months. And I talked to a bunch of people over the weekend that said that they've gotten in and had an opportunity to get stretched. That professional assisted stretching will change your life. That's Trisha, but they have an incredible team there. Maybe you get a chance to see Claire or Tim or Justin. Maybe you get a chance to actually take advantage of the entire aspect of the one that's in the Arnold area, which is a gym and the stretch side, overall wellness all together, bringing that mind, body, spirit together. So Exist Stretch in two locations, one of them in Arnold, again off Vogel Road, and then the other is a standalone in St. Louis Hills on Hampton. Check them out at existstretch.com or at ExistStretch on social media. After all, the very first stretch is on them. So take advantage of that free stretch. Good morning to you. I'm your host, Monica Adams. We've got a great show on tap for you today. Jenny Gabriel from JG Optimal Wellness will be back with us, and we're going to be talking about postmenopause, but some very interesting things that women may not know, from earlier to after to post to peri to menopause, across the board. There's so many levels of things that people are like, am I in it? Am I past it? Am I done? We'll talk about all of that for you coming up. We also have news you can use. We'll get into some sports news and something that's gone viral. If you were at the Cardinals game at Busch Stadium, you know what I'm talking about. This is like one of the 6 things that we talk about that have gone viral over the decades with the St. Louis Cardinals. This one had to do with men with their shirts off. I'll talk about that coming up for you. I mentioned the weather. We will actually be checking in with our own aspiring meteorologist, Beckett Moore, here, and then we're going to continue with that. It's actually going to be one of the top stories about what is happening in weather across the United States. So let's get to it. Our first segment is With the Weather.
Good evening and welcome into this new More Weather Forecast video. My name is Beck Moore.
Brought to you by our friends over at Fenton Family Dentistry. We love them. Hopefully you had a chance to see Abram Whitehead in with me just last week. They will be back in this Thursday, and they will be bringing one special 4-legged friend of theirs named Augie. Augie is a therapy dog that gets an opportunity to put you at ease if you get a little scared when you're going to the dentist. I don't care whether it's a kid or it's a senior. He puts you at ease and just knows and feels that energy. So Abram and Augie will both be here on Thursday. Thank you so much to Dr. Jessica and the staff at Fenton Family Dentistry for being a part of the show. 552 Old Smizer Mill Road in Fenton. Discover that perfect smile in Fenton, Missouri. All right, let's see if he's smiling today. Good morning, Beckett Moore.
Good morning, how are you?
Did you have a good weekend?
Yes, I did. How was yours?
It wasn't bad at all. It was definitely hot. I went to brunch with my dear friend Sherry yesterday, and I have sunburn on my left arm. That's how hot it was.
I know, it was crazy hot yesterday. I think we got up near 90.
Okay, that was our cars are obviously in the sun, and I'm like, it is not 100 degrees, but it feels like it. You know, we all talked this morning about how humid it felt, and I was looking at different forecasts from different meteorologists, and I was like, look at this humidity that we have kind of all week long. But the number one question, Beckett, when Jenny walked in this morning was, are we going to have some severe weather today? What do you say about that?
Yes, we are expecting some storms this afternoon and evening. Overall, on the lower end, we could see some gusty wind and some small hail. That's going to be possible. Tornadoes are not likely, but we could see, again, some wind, some hail, but overall the threat is low.
Okay, so we're going to let you go through the forecast throughout the week. This is your final week. This is exam week, right?
Yes.
All right, everybody. So be nice to Beckett. He's got a lot on his plate. All right, Beckett, take it away.
Yeah, so looking at the current conditions right now, 76 degrees. We have a dew point at 67, like Monica mentioned. That is very humid right now because we do have that rain coming in, and we've been dealing with the rain all weekend. Mostly cloudy skies right now. We do have the 10-mile-per-hour winds out of the south. That's bringing that moisture into the area for these storms. 80 degrees is our high today. Rain and thunderstorms again as we head past noon and into the early evening. We're going to continue to see some storms, some showers across the area, and some again could be severe. So keep that in mind if you have any plans or if you're going to be out and about this afternoon. We do have a slight risk for severe weather today, and we also have a slight risk for severe weather tomorrow. We're looking at, again, those storms this evening, afternoon, early afternoon today, and tomorrow we're expecting some storms into the early morning. So around 6 or 7 o'clock, that's when we're expecting another line of storms, another round of storms to come through the St. Louis area. So the severe potential for both of these threats is low across the board. Tornadoes, damaging winds, hail is pretty low. We do have a moderate flooding threat since we will have see the training of some storms, so we could see a little bit of puddling across the area because of the training of rain across the St. Louis region. 71 degrees is our low tonight. Tomorrow, 84 degrees. As we head towards Wednesday, though, that gets out of the way, but the cold front does come through, so we're back down into the 60s with a high near 70. Thursday, 73, and then as we head into our weekend, some more rain chances Friday, Saturday, but then by Sunday, back near 90 and mostly sunny.
Wow, up and down week for sure. All right, we're going to talk about some severe weather in other areas, but Beckett, I'm wishing you the best, thinking about you all week long. I know you're going to do great.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that is our aspiring meteorologist, Beckett Moore, with our forecast. And again, if you're outside of our area, we're based in St. Louis, Missouri, so we take care of our St. Louis folks, but then we get into local, regional, national, international news. And I'm going to start off with more weather information, and this has to do with the possibility of tornadoes and severe storms in other areas of the United States. So dangerous severe weather, as they are mentioning, outbreaking with monster hail and tornado targeting a dozen states. So if you've got family or friends that might be traveling, just let them know. The severe weather began yesterday as officials issued a particularly dangerous situation warning in Nebraska ahead of multiple tornadoes that touched down. Additional tornadoes were also reported in Iowa. Tornado watches and warnings were issued across parts of South Dakota, as well as Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa. And it all comes as a strong dip in the jet stream anchored itself over the western United States, sending energy into the middle of the country. A deepening area of low pressure intensified through the afternoon as it tracked northeastward, and the heart of the storm activity stretched from central Minnesota to the Texas Panhandle, where a broad level 3 out of 5 severe storm threat was issued. By the afternoon and the evening, the primary concern became the development of discrete, long-lived supercell thunderstorms. So again, they're talking about a brewing super El Nino that may self-destruct after reaching a record peak, triggering rapid La Nina return in 2027. So today's severe weather threat, again, has been upgraded to a rare level 4 out of 5 for parts of central and northeastern Kansas, stretching up into southeastern Nebraska, where intense tornadoes and monster hail are possible. It could stretch over 1,000 miles, reaching from Michigan to Texas from this brewing severe weather outbreak. So if you have family and friends in these areas that I just mentioned, please call them, keep an eye on them, check in, again, to make sure that they're doing okay. So that's the top story. Now, we've been talking about the hantavirus, but now this one, even more concerning, Ebola, something that we haven't talked about in many, many years. There's an outbreak in Congo and Uganda that has declared a global health emergency. The World Health Organization has declared this, and they are saying more than 250 suspected cases and 80 suspected deaths have already been linked to the disease. Officials warn that the true scope of the outbreak could potentially be much larger than what has been reported so far. Health workers raced to intensify screenings and contact tracing to contain the disease. World Health Organization saying that the outbreak fell short of the criteria for a pandemic emergency like COVID-19. They are advising against closing international borders. But this one just coming in, and again, we are talking, as we're talking about this, we continue to talk about the hantavirus as well. And you know, when I first brought that up in the news just a couple of weeks ago, there were a ton of people saying, what the heck is that? They had heard about it. Yesterday, I saw some of the news reporters out at Creve Coeur Park talking to people saying, have you even heard of it, or do you even know what it is? They're still saying it is very rare as far as human-to-human contact and human-to-human passing this along. A very rare infection, according to many of our doctors here in St. Louis. But they are confirming 10 cases linked to the cruise ship that docked in the Canary Islands last Sunday. At the time, 41 people in the U.S. had been monitored, and doctors are continuing to say it is a very rare infection, usually spread by rats. But again, enough for people to say that they're still a little concerned. So now we're talking about hantavirus and we're talking about Ebola. Two things that I will continue to follow, and any new information we get on those will, of course, pass those along to you. 4 crew members were ejected safely, and I don't know if you saw the video of this. 2 Navy jets collided during an air show. Can you imagine? We think about in Chesterfield, Missouri. We watch the big air show, and you're filming. People had an opportunity to watch the beautiful day, and then all of a sudden, 2 jets, and if you see the video, they just completely go side to side and collide with one another. Obviously, there's an investigation now how this happened, but immediately after you see the 2 jets collide, you see all the parachutes open up for all inside. Fortunately, the 4 crew members, they safely ejected. The crash then, of course, getting under investigation right away. The crew members are in stable condition. Nobody at the military base was hurt. That's the good news. Everyone's safe. That's the most important thing. But the planes fell to the ground together. Just absolutely crazy. National Weather Service reported good visibility. So, because some people were saying, is this weather related? Winds were gusting up to 29 miles per hour around the time of the crash. So, little room for error. It was remarkable that both crews were able to eject from their planes. So now the investigation. What the heck caused that? All right, have you ever gone whale watching and you go along and you're like, okay, everything's going to be fine, and then you're in the whale watching boat and then you see another fisherman capsized? What do? Hopefully you're a hero and you race into action like these guys did. Whale watching crew rescuing the capsized fisherman off the coast of California. It happened Friday, about 6 miles from Moss Landing in the central part of the state. The men's boat capsized while rock fishing. The pair spent about 40 minutes in the water while the Coast Guard tried to pinpoint their location. You imagine those 40 minutes probably felt like 4 hours. The whale watching boat responded to the Coast Guard's call for help. They found the 2 men. One of the rescuers said they were lucky to arrive when they did because conditions at sea quickly deteriorated and the rescue would have become even more challenging. That is the second time in the last week we've talked about people being in water and just sitting there wondering, is anybody ever going to come and get me? All right, are you a Survivor Watcher fan? Survivor Greece? This is a little crazy. It's halted their production because a contestant lost part of his leg in a boat propeller accident. 21-year-old Stavros Floros lost part of his leg after he was struck by a tourist boat. It occurred while he was spearfishing in the Dominican Republic during a break from filming. The television station in the area suspended the broadcast of Survivor Greece following the incident as local authorities continue to investigate the cause of the accident. So when this first came out, they were thinking that it was during actual filming. It wasn't. It was a pause in filming, but now they're going to have to pause because of what's happened to him. We'll continue to follow that and let you know the latest. Okay, were you at Busch Stadium when this took place? Or if not, I can guarantee you've seen it by now because the Cardinals have gone viral. Well, sort of. It's the fans with their shirts off. And I just saw a video, by the way, by Todd Thomas. A lot of you know him as that one guy. He's the broadcaster that runs around in the stadium. He joined these guys. This is amazing. The Cardinals are making waves in baseball media with a new trend that has sparked at Busch Stadium. It was game 1 of the I-70 series against the Royals where the Redbird fandom spearheaded a tarps off movement in the right field bleachers. What started as a few guys visiting from a small town in Texas waving their shirts above their heads like rally towels quickly escalated into a crowd of what looked to be well over 500 rowdy shirtless fans. Brendan Schaefer, who is a Cardinals writer for MLB.com, referred to the group as shirtless youths when they first took form. These so-called shirtless youths willed the Cardinals to their 4th walk-off victory of the season. And now everyone's jumping on board. In fact, even manager Oliver Marmol was outspoken in his approval of the newfound tradition, so much that he funded the Shirtless Brigade for the next 2 games. He actually grabbed a bunch of tickets, and then they got snagged immediately, obviously, because they were free, trying to get more and more people involved in that. Tarps Off fans have spread into 4 sections now at Busch Stadium, and it will be so much fun to see that continue. That's just one of 6 viral trends, surely to bring a smile to your face. Do you remember them all? Right now, it's Tarps Off. And again, 1,000 tickets were purchased by our manager for fans to snag for free. They sold out in 30 minutes. But do you remember the pepper grinder with Lars Newt bars back in 2022? Matt Carpenter's salsa. Remember that? Yep, this is all from the St. Louis Cardinals. Skip Shoemaker and the Rally Squirrel. Who can forget that back in 2011? Happy Flight also during 2011. And then Alan Craig's Turtle Torty. Might not be as memorable as Happy happy flight of the rally squirrel, but it was still a fan favorite at the time. So that was these are all back in like 2011. Not sure if you remember them all, but if you do, be sure to drop a comment in of the things that have happened outside of what really happens on the field, but continues to bring notoriety to the St. Louis area. Speaking of the Cardinals, by the way, they lost, unfortunately, to the Royals. The final was 2-0 yesterday. It's now the Pirates coming to town to take on our Cardinals. Now, game time tomorrow will be at 6:45. St. Louis City SC coming off a draw with DC United. The final, again, tied at 1. Wednesday of last week, the St. Louis City SC beat LAFC. They've got a game tomorrow. It's the quarterfinal U.S. Open Cup against Houston Dynamo. That will be at 7 p.m. All right, into today's National Day of No Dirty Dishes Day. You should never have a bunch of dishes in the sink. Don't you like to wake up in the morning and just be clear? National Cheese Souffle Day, National Visit Your Relatives Day, and National HIV Vaccine Awareness, as well as, I just mentioned, I got sunburn, National Sun Responsibly Day, and I think we'll be okay with that since it's going to be cloudy, and we've got a lot of rain, by the way. All right, that's it as far as news you can use, getting you up to date in the first 15 minutes of the show, and then we get into our Medical Monday. We're going to talk about health and wellness. Postmenopause. This is the phase no one prepared you for. Hormones stabilize. Your body's still changing, though. What women were never told. We're going to talk about this with Jenny Gabriel with JG Optimal Wellness. She's my guest when we return.
What if you could start your day feeling loose, relaxed, and ready? Deep hydrotherapy right in your backyard. No commute, no appointments, just warmth, relief whenever you need it. Sore muscles recover faster, loosen up, tension you carry all day, gone. Relax with your family or friends, or work out with our Michael Phelps Edition Swim Spas. Worried about maintenance? We have factory-trained service nearby whenever you need it. Plus, we're here for you long-term if you have any questions or need to refill supplies. You can even test spas at our showrooms. Spas and More, A+ rated, locally owned for 20 years. We put the ah in spa.
Well, good morning to all of you if you're just tuning in, and good morning to Jenny Gabriel. We mentioned last time Jenny was in that we have a lot of letters that we're now putting behind her besides nutritional therapy practitioner, because she had all of her boards and she did incredible. And now she has even more that she can help you with, right?
That's right. That is exactly right.
Congrats.
Thank you, my friend.
Have you been in the last couple of weeks?
We've been okay.
Yeah, I just want you to send some prayers out to the family because they lost someone very near and dear to them. That's always hard, no matter how long that person's been on this earth. And 95 years.
Yeah.
Right, long time, but again, it still stings. So thoughts and prayers out to your husband and your family for sure.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Absolutely. So Jenny walked in this morning and she's like, is it going to rain? You just heard Beckett's forecast. It is humid.
Yeah.
Not easy on our hair.
No, not at all. I'm like, well, it didn't look like that when I left the house.
I know. I kept going, hey, I had a little more volume. Okay, so today on our Medical Monday, we're going to talk, we've talked a lot over the last several months about menopause and perimenopause, but not a lot about postmenopause. And this is the phase that no one really prepares you for. I hear a lot of women, Jenny, in my training that say, okay, so I went through menopause, I'm done, right?
Oh, I hear it all the time. I'm like, not really.
Not so much.
They think they're done because that's what they've been told.
Right.
They're done. But this is like one of the biggest time frames, and there's certain windows within that, especially the first 5 years. We do certain things post-menopause, and then we're going to talk about that today. And then the 5 years beyond that, there's other things that we need to do to kind of continue to help with that final transition of postmenopause. And most women just think, well, I'm finished, I'm done, I'm good. And that's not true. There's things we need to be shifting and focusing on and making sure that we're doing the things, you know, to help them, like cardiovascular disease, bone loss, you know, getting our bone density up. But muscle wasting is also a big thing we see happen with the older generation. Thirst, hydration. We lose that sense. So we're going to talk about that today too. So lots of great stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And it's interesting, Jenny, because just the discussions that I heard in my clients that I was training Saturday was, oh, I'm dealing with this. I want to go look into bioidentical hormones. You and Jenny talk a lot about that. I want to go get my labs done. I'm like, good. And I was like, how old are you? This one said 60. This one was like 59. Another one was 57. And then there was some that were like in their mid 40s. And everyone's, it's interesting to talk about the season that you're in, right?
Right.
And then every woman thinking, oh, do we all hit at the same time?
No.
No.
Everybody's different.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times we can base it off what our mother did. Sometimes that tends to carry over to the daughter, but not always.
No, because my mom,
Not
when I talked about all the symptoms that I went through when I was approaching menopause, my mom's like, I'm so sorry, honey, I did not deal with any of those. I'm like, well, lucky you.
Yeah,
And that
lucky
discussion
you.
was me.
She's a unicorn. She's the one we call the unicorn.
I'm like, why didn't I follow that, Mom?
Yeah, right?
Okay, so again, today we're talking about phases. So early versus later postmenopause. What do you mean by that?
So early is the first 5 years following. Let's do the timeline because this is very confusing for women, right? So the year that you can look back, which is actually just a day, you all of a sudden you look back and you've been cycle free for a year. That would be considered your menopause year.
Right.
Then from that day forward for the next 5 years is what we call early postmenopause.
Okay.
And then the 5 years and beyond that is what we call later postmenopause.
Later. And then what are the symptoms that we're going through in those 5 and then the other 5?
Yeah. Great big question. So when you're in the early postmenopause, you could typically see some of the same symptoms. Some women have even heavier symptoms than they had in peri and menopause time frame.
Okay.
Depends on the person, depends on the chemistry of the body. There's a lot of things that fold into that too. We're looking at nutrition, we're looking at lifestyle things, we're looking at where the hormones are at, how much have they dropped, are we doing bioidentical or synthetic, what are all the factors that are factoring into that? You see a lot of sleep disruption happening in this time frame too. You'll still see women having hot flashes. Some women have them worse in that first 5 years of postmenopause. But then, when we get into later postmenopause, this is when we're looking at cardiovascular health. And I will tell you, Monica, even in postmenopause, even early postmenopause, we need to be looking at heart health. Because inflammation, blood sugar regulation, all of those things play a part into heart health. And so I always want to tell women, you think that you're done, but you're just starting.
Wow.
There's a shift in what we're really focusing on. In perimenopause, we're really more focusing on symptoms.
Right.
Symptoms, the weight gain around the center. And we see that too in postmenopause too. We see that too. But.
I'm so glad that Jenny just brought up the heart aspect of it all because, again, when we talk about stress and the mounting aspects of all the things that you're all dealing with, let's just think of right now. You've got kids coming home from school. It's a whole different change in the last several months to, okay, wait, we're working, we got to get the kids involved, and we want to maybe the kids want to go on vacation. There's so much on you.
Right.
You need to take care of yourself from a nutrition standpoint of heart-healthy foods.
Yes.
But understand, please also make sure you're getting to the doctor and getting checked up because the number one killer of women is heart disease.
That is correct.
And we just don't take care of ourselves properly.
No.
So I'm so glad she hit home on that because, again, so maybe they sit there and go, okay, I want to take care of my health more heart-wise. It's cleaning up. I have a challenge that I'm getting ready to do for 90 days with my clients, and I'm like, it starts June 1st, but that means in the next 2 weeks, we would never go into surgery and have a doctor go straight into surgery without prepping, correct?
Right.
Prep time.
Right.
In prep time, let's clean things up. Let's understand that you need to put you first. So it's paramount that you find accountability, that you find someone like Jenny who will work with you hand in hand to say, how about you finally put yourself first? As the kids are getting ready to come home, it's very easy to lose yourself.
100%. Yeah, we've just experienced that. The different things can affect that, but kids coming home, not used to them being home, a job shift, a death in the family, all of these things, play a part on, our stress levels, right? Not to mention internally what stresses are happening inside the body that we don't recognize. And that's funny because not funny, but funny. Clients I have clients, and I know I've talked to you about this, that say, oh, I don't have stress at all. I don't have stress at all. And then we get to digging and talking about things, and there's some internal stress things that are going on.
Yep, that you're not recognizing because it's become too much a part of you
Right.
that you've dismissed.
Right,
Again,
right.
Jenny, Gabriel,
Yeah.
you can work with her one-on-one, and that is really what we believe is the best way because we're all so different. Even though you're like, oh, I'm experiencing that, I'm experiencing that. Yeah, maybe there's some commonality where you can be involved in a group. But yeah, for the free assessment call, you can scan that QR code, get involved with Jenny. She can find out what's happening with you and go, oh, let's put a plan in action. And that's the key. So again, today, postmenopause isn't the end, even though every single one of you think it's over. It's a whole new phase again. And
Right.
what does it look like? So you call it the looking back phase.
Yeah, looking back, that's that one day snapshot where all of a sudden you're like, okay, I went a whole year without a cycle. Now I'm in postmenopause. That's the early postmenopause. That's when it starts. It's the day that we look back and go, okay, I haven't had a cycle. Now, I've had women go 10, 11 months and not have a cycle, and then have a cycle, and then they have to start the count all over again.
Oh, how frustrating.
Yeah, super frustrating.
Well, it's just,
super frustrating.
This is the one thing that we always want men to understand and be very empathetic of is it never ends for us. It starts at about maybe 12, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
And you think, I can't wait to get out of this and then finally get my life. Nope. We just keep getting hammered.
We just shift gears. Yeah.
Does it frustrate you all? Feel free to drop comments in, by the way. So, okay, early postmenopause, the emergency response years.
Right. And so that's again where I'm talking about, okay, we got to really focus on blood sugar stability, and because that's blood sugar instability is one of the things that we start to see here with more insulin resistance versus insulin sensitivity. And when I'm saying that, just to make it really easy, is that's where we start to see where we're getting weight gain around the midsection. Cortisol plays a part in that too. That's a stress hormone. But our body is shifting. We're not responding like we used to. And it goes back to a lot of things, lifestyle, things that we've done, haven't done over the years. It's foods we've eaten that, are processed foods. Our foods have become more chemically laden, and those things don't always agree real well. Well, they don't agree real well with the body at all.
Plain and simple.
And we've got to become more from a protective vision, meaning protection of the heart, like we've spoken about. We'll speak about it a little bit more. Bone density, which we'll speak about that a little bit more today too. We've got to get the mindset shift into looking at, we've got to be more protective. The sleep part's going to be a part of this too. It's going to be more disruptive in the beginning, but then it'll kind of settle out. We'll have some metabolic shifts that are going to happen as well, from crazy to then finally in that last, from 5 years on, that the hormones kind of start to stabilize a little bit as well. So
you talked about sleep, and I have been more cognizant of wearing my Apple Watch to see how my sleep is. I thought for sure I was going to wake up this morning, it was going to say excellent, and it said okay. And I went, I got 7 hours and 45 minutes of sleep. That should be good, but evidently I wasn't sleeping.
it probably didn't have enough REM sleep, REM.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is where, again, unless we have actual proof like that, you think, I did good. And I woke up this morning, I'm like, I should feel great. I mean, I have some energy, but I feel a little off, which is clear that I didn't sleep the best.
Yeah, I have a client right now, currently, one that you and I both know well, and I cheer her on because, like, stress. It's interesting because what she learned is how much stress impacted her sleep, because it actually gives her a score. So when stress was higher, she was in the 80s, maybe even 70s. If she wasn't feeling well, it would be low. But then when she's getting great sleep, REM sleep, she's up in the 90s. And I mean, like, we're high-fiving all the time when she's in the 90s, because that means her REM, she's hitting REM.
Yep.
And we need 2 hours of REM every night minimum. We need to hit that REM sleep.
Which people are probably going to say, well, how do I get that? A lot of changes have to be made.
Yeah, it's you start with your evening wind down routine first, right? And then
That's-
what we're eating and not eating.
That's it. Somebody
top
said
of that.
to me, I really keep hearing the importance of having a time that I'm eating dinner and not anything after that. That mindless eating that happens while you're watching TV,
Yeah, that's
and you're like,
correct.
what the heck? It's 9 o'clock at night. I'm getting ready to go to bed and I was just eating chips, right? That's not going to help you sleep. So that's going to disrupt that. Again, if you're just tuning in, it is a Medical Monday. Jenny Gabriel with JG Optimal Wellness. We are talking about postmenopause, but again, it's the different aspect. So you just mentioned bone health, which ladies, please take care of your bones. It's taking center stage right now.
It is. And it's a big deal. And we don't think about, and if your doctor's not telling you either, you don't know what you don't know. Now, some doctors are really good about make sure you get vitamin D and K2 for the delivery. And I have clients come to me that aren't taking any of those things, or they're taking one but not the other. And there's, there really needs to be a combination with that. And some of them are just taking it anytime. And I'm like, no, you got to be taking that with fat so it absorbs in the cell. But they don't know these things, right?
Right.
So what we see in those first critical 5 years, I would say the early postmenopause is that 10% decrease in bone density. And this is key. Women, make sure, especially if you are a dairy allergy, you're not going to get that calcium that way. So we got to get it through other foods like greens and those types of things. But you're going to need to be supplementing. And even I would say at this point, women who are not supplementing going into, if you're in menopause and you're starting to have that year of not having menopause, you really need to be making sure you're getting that D and vitamin D and K2 calcium in, because you're going to need it.
I'm glad that you said K2, because I think a lot of people are like, okay, fine, I've heard vitamin D. I finally am going to do vitamin D. And then you're like, wait, here's another one I've got to add. We want you to understand, but it is sometimes extremely confusing for a lot of people, which is why you want someone to go, look, you're either overdoing it or you're underdoing it.
Right. Yeah, because there is something about a tolerable limit as well. So
otherwise
there's a
it's
certain
just,
amount you should be taking.
Otherwise
and
it's
not
expensive urine.
Yes.
And waste.
Yes.
Right? So make sure that you're taking what is right for you. So that slide, by the way, I think is very important. When you look at premenopause, menopause, the critical first 5 years, and look at that, up to 10% bone loss can occur in that rapid response window. That's not good. We're talking about osteopenia, osteoporosis that happens.
That's exactly right.
But I think it's also the fact that you mentioned calcium, and immediately the mindset, because of what we've been taught when we were kids, is that cheese? Is that milk? Is that dairy? That's what you all think is the only way you're getting in your calcium.
Right.
And
that's not the
true.
case. No, I mean, you can get it if you like sardines, but I mean, like greens would be the way to go, right?
Dark green
leafies. Like right now you can get so many of them because the farmers markets are kicking in, and there's such great options for nutrient dense.
Let's go support those farmers markets, by the way.
Yes.
They're fun. And
they are fun.
I drive by and I see the pricing. I'm like, why am I going to the grocery store for this stuff?
Exactly.
Look at those prices.
And you know that it's not been treated.
Right.
You know that it's nutrient dense. You know the soils they're planting it in are been really cared for.
I think I'm going to go today just because she just said that. I might be dodging the rain, but still.
Well.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, why functional strength matters now more than ever. So she talked about that, and this is for men and women both, by the way. We're sitting there like, gosh dang it, we're working so hard. Where's my muscle? And it's going away, and you're getting frustrated. And we get it. We're right there with you, right? The empathy is right here. All right, more with Jenny Gabriel when we return.
What if you could start your day feeling loose, relaxed, and ready? Deep hydrotherapy right in your backyard. Relax with your family or friends, or work out with our Michael Phelps Edition Swim Spas. Worried about maintenance? We have factory-trained service nearby whenever you need it. Plus, we're here for you long-term if you have any questions or need to refill supplies. You can even test spas at our showrooms. Spas and More, A+ rated, locally owned for 20 years. We put the ah in spa.
Welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. On this Medical Monday, we're talking about menopause, postmenopause, and so many things that you've never been told before. And I know you can sit there and start having these conversations with friends, and it doesn't matter. All these different ages going, well, I'm just now entering that. What? I did that already. And you're like, wait, you're 5 years older than me. How come we're not together? our bodies are different biologically. Our bodies are different. Understand that. So Jenny and I are talking about all of this today. Now we're talking about the muscle side, which I think is one of the most frustrating things, right? We work and we work and we work, and then we work harder, and then you think you have to push more, which we've stressed you. This is not the time to do that.
That's exactly right. And it isn't the time to do this. When I'm talking about functional strength, I'm talking about mobility, balance, the agility part, not super agility, just the ability. I always used to explain this to my clients when I personal trained was it's about the reactionary ability, like if they would go to slip on ice, their reaction to be able to catch themselves, or just even like the flexibility and how they can move the hips, because hips is one of the first thing, the range of motion in the hips goes very quickly as we age. And so implementing those types of exercises and working with someone like you that helps with getting those things checked off the box. You know, balance is huge. And as we age, that's one of the first things that tends to go. And if we would have some kind of illness or disease come on, that's one of the first things that is directly impacted is our balance.
Balance and core. It's,
Yes.
I was telling clients the
Yes.
other day, I was like, you know, one of the very first things when I was training seniors was, let's get up out of a chair. Oh, we could all get out of a chair. And I said, I didn't say you could hang on to anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you get out of this
Exactly.
chair?
Yeah.
Right? Without folding over.
Right.
It's such an aha moment. But
Right.
I want you all to do it today. Just see what happens, whatever phase you are in your life. In your 30s, 40s, are you super, super strong? If
Yeah.
not, start doing it. But she and I and Trisha, who I think is brilliant, and I got to introduce you to. Did you meet? No, you didn't. Trisha Rhodes from Exist Stretch. She just talked about the mobility in the hip, and if
Yeah.
you're not doing mobility exercises, great, Zach, thank you. This right there, she
Yeah.
was also testing my adductors.
Yeah.
She's like, ooh,
Yeah.
someone has got strong Kegel.
Yeah,
I'm
ooh,
like,
that's
"I do?
good. That's
Okay."
a good thing. That is a good thing.
She's like, oh, you never had a child either, did you? I'm like, no, but I have very strong core muscles. But yeah, I mean, this is important we all think we're stretching properly. We all think we're
Yes.
doing what we need to do. I'm super excited to get back into Pilates and yoga and mobility and balance and core and all of those things where I have the mindset, Jenny, very much of lift, 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 lift. And
I understand. I
right?
have to shift that to myself.
it's a
but
mindset.
Now I do yoga at least twice a week.
Yep, it's a mindset shift.
It is.
Yep.
It's a total, because, you know, you're like, oh, well, I'm not hitting it hard enough.
Yep.
You know,
It's
but
hard.
when we get into this phase, we need to be dialing back. We need to have strength training very much is important, incredibly important, because that's what's going to help the muscle mass.
Yep.
And that muscle is what is the protective tissue for postmenopausal women. So let me stress, lifting weights is incredibly important. It doesn't mean you have to
Lift crazy heavy.
Yes,
Or do HIIT
exactly.
training. Right.
But even yoga
Body
is-
weight
is
resistance training.
Body weight resistance. Yoga requires a lot of balance, stability, strength in some of the poses that you do. So you can mix it up. Pilates, all of those are great variety. And variety is good because then we don't get bored.
Yep.
You know, we like to mix it up, and it confuses the body and the muscles, and so that's super important. But balance is key too, and just the mobility, all of those things are super important going into this phase.
Balance, strength, muscle mobility, all those things. So I'm going to look at comments here in just a second. What are you doing? Because again, remember, you got to
Yeah. What are
own
you
this.
doing now?
You have to own this. So we can't blame it on anybody else. It is time for you to say, I got to own my own life. Feel free to drop any comments, and we're going to talk about hot flashes.
Yeah.
And yes, for some, and good for you if you're not getting them at all. I mean, I good for you, because it's one of the most frustrating things. I will have just taken a shower, and then I'm getting ready, and I'm like, oh, dear God, can we
Yeah.
please turn the air on? And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so frustrating.
Exactly. Exactly.
Linda said, yep, you've hit the nail on the head with all of this for me. Menopause at age 50,
Yep.
osteoporosis at age 61.
Yep.
I have always been an avid exerciser and try to eat healthy. It's a full-time job taking care of your body. Oh, that is a
That
powerful
is a
comment.
very powerful comment. And let me tell you, that was Linda, right?
Yes.
You did not do anything wrong. They just didn't give you enough information to do everything you needed to do. So don't think you did anything wrong. You prepared yourself and you prepped yourself for that. But it's just part of the process of aging and part of the and they'll tell you, oh, it's just part of aging. Well, That's right. It is the aging process. But what support do you have in the aging process as you go through it is what is critically important.
Well, and please stop thinking that you have to continue to go to a doctor who says to just deal with it.
Exactly.
That's not true. There's many things. That's the reason why there are people like Jenny and myself and people in this wellness industry to say, yes, we cannot reverse aging.
Right.
The actual biological aspect of it, but we can absolutely for you
And support.
give you accountability, and help you along with
Give
all
you
of a sudden
tools.
the awakening happens and you're like, oh my gosh, I can live my life like this. And look, you've seen probably as you scroll through Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, these incredibly strong, beautiful, powerful women over the age of 60, 70, 80
Yes.
years old. And you're like,
Yes.
look at the muscle, right?
Yes.
They figure it out. She will figure it out with
Yes.
you. Don't think you have to go along and just now be in the most miserable state of your life.
Right,
That's what really
exactly.
disheartens me. Because
Me too.
yeah,
Same.
You
Same.
You hear too many women go, well, this is just what's going to happen. No, it isn't.
No.
You have to find
No.
somebody. Okay,
No.
let's go into hot flashes.
Yeah. Okay. So like we talked about this, and this can happen within the first 5 years of post-menopause. We will see this temperature variation. Some women will get it worse than they had in peri or even in meno, going through that 1 year part. Some women don't have it at all until then. They have this awakening literally with it, and things we have to remember that are going to cause us to be worse, and there are two key components that do this is sugar and alcohol. They're both very much amplified. So if you're really struggling with hot flashes and you can't figure out what's causing them, those are two things to look at.
And you have to own it, like I said.
Yeah, you have to own
She
it.
hears me say it all the time
Yeah,
when I'm like,
you
all
have
right,
to
I
own
know
it.
I'm going to get hot
Yep.
flashes. I just have my
Yep.
red wine.
Stress is another one that will do that. Like, and I would experience this if something was stressing me or something would come to my mind and it would be stressful. I would break out in a hot flash. So it's directly correlated, can be, to stress. So
hormones.
just keep that in mind too. But just remember, there's a large percentage, 75%,
75%.
actually still experience them in
Early.
post-menopause, yes, as temperature's still going crazy. And so one of the things we need to keep in mind is having that foundational hydration. And this is where, and we're going to hit on this because when we get in the latter 5 years, that's when we get this, we don't have that thirst sensation that we should have. It kind of diminishes as we age.
So you forget to be
So
hydrating?
we forget to be hydrating, and we become overly dehydrated, and it can cause, other issues with just metabolic conditions and cardiovascular. All those things have a play in that.
Water is just essential,
Well,
and
it's
it's
minerals.
incredible.
Yeah, it has
Yep.
minerals,
Yep.
and just the thing I will stress more than anything is if you want to know how your tap water is, go to ewg.org and put your zip code in, and it will tell you what the testing. That's an
EWG.org?
ewg.org, and that's Environmental Working Group. And you can actually go in and it'll let you put your zip code in. I'm not sure what tab to pull down off the top of my head right now, but it'll let you put your zip code in for where you live, and it'll bring up the testing. On that, you will be not very happy. We'll just say that. So I strongly suggest that you lean, if you can, at some point into, like, even if you have a refrigerator that has the filter in it, that's going to be beneficial.
Oh, that's what my
okay,
mom
that's
has.
going to help. Some people get under-counter devices that they can put on their tap water so that they're drinking water. I'm talking about the water you drink or the water you cook with. I would really lean into getting into more purified water if you can, because
again,
there's so many chemicals in them.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop it in for you right now.
Yeah.
It's because you might be
Yeah.
driving, and I don't want you to be seeking this out. So there you go. She said exactly 20 years ago, I was told nothing. Wine will still bring on a hot flash
Yeah.
for me. The sugar alcohols. Stephanie, you're the unicorn. She said, I never had hot flashes.
Good for you.
Exactly.
You're a unicorn.
Enjoy the fact that has never come your way because it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the recalibration of your metabolism and how the body has changed the rules. This is what
Yeah.
we mentioned,
Yeah.
things you have not been told before
Yeah.
that Jenny's providing you today.
Well, one, we're not going to restrict calories. We're not going to over-exercise, and we're not going to assume that weight's just going to stay like it's supposed to proportionally. Because I will tell you, when we're in childbearing years or those years when the estrogen levels are higher, we will see the weight will distribute more to the hips and the thighs. Whereas when that estrogen level drops or cortisol levels are high, we're going to see that weight become more around the midsection.
In the bill. Okay.
Okay. So redistribution is going to look a bit different. Pushing through recovery, I was the worst ever with this. I didn't allow myself to fully recover from a lot of the exercise stuff I did, and I found that I was always chronically injured.
Until you were armed with the information.
Until you're armed with the
information.
information. So things that we need to remember is like insulin resistance is, and I mentioned this earlier in the show today, that it increases is just because of, the years and years and years of things that we have put into our body or things that we haven't done lifestyle wise that has caused some of that to happen. Some of it's just a natural progression. Some of us are a little bit more insulin sensitive than others. So keep that in mind. Weight redistribution, we just talked about that. And then protein becomes incredibly important. And I talk to women all the time about this because honestly, we suck at eating protein. I don't know how else to say it, but we do. We think when we eat protein, we think we're going to bulk or something like that. That's not the case. Women need to make sure they're getting a good palm-sized portion in each of their meals.
A deck of cards.
Yeah, just every meal you have, breakfast, lunch, dinner, make sure you have that.
See, it's interesting to me, but maybe it's because you and I come from the fitness background. I mean, ever since I was at least 19, maybe even before that, I've always known this. Do you all not know that you should be having that protein? Why would you just be eating a salad by itself, green, with no protein in it?
I find this as people age, they do this.
Interesting.
I
let's
find
get this
that
changing.
they don't eat as much protein. They'll eat other things like, snacky stuff or
A lot of carbs.
Yeah, it's really more carb laden, and the carbs
Not good.
good carbs.
Right.
Let's not give them a bad rap because we're not talking about the fruits and
Processed.
vegetables.
I'm
We're
gonna
talking
say
about
all those
processed.
chips and ice cream and stuff.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So
Yeah, please, protein.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into sleep. I just mentioned that I woke
Yeah.
up and looked, and I was going to be all excited
Yeah.
to tell Jenny I had a great score, and it just said okay,
Yeah.
and that was like, wah, wah.
Yeah.
Sleep peaks as a problem. Why women
Yeah.
feel wired and exhausted.
Yeah, it's because our cortisol is rising and at night instead of dropping. And at night it should drop and then rise in the morning gradually throughout the day, right? And then slowly go down. In this phase, we tend to not be having great sleep, and so because of all the hormonal shifts that are kind of happening and just the whole shift in general, we're kind of going from that 5-year post going into that 5-year late post where things finally start to stabilize. So bringing in those things like good nutrition is going to be super important. Making sure that you're fueling your body. Antioxidants are super key and important in this phase as well. Making sure that we're eating foods that have magnesium in them so that we're not, and I will tell you, that's one of the things that everybody could supplement with because it's so depleted in
Magnesium.
our soils. And what we don't use, we pee out,
Right.
pretty much,
I want to look at the bottom part of that slide where you
Yeah.
say the catch-22. Okay.
Yeah.
Biological recovery vastly harder without deep sleep, folks.
Yep.
We need it. And I just said I didn't get it.
Well-
Deep sleep harder to access though. That's the catch-22.
Yeah. And that's one of those things too. That's where the detoxification process happens. And we talked about this on the show before too, but at night, that's where the brain, it's the orchestra, the conductor, and all the organs are the orchestra, and they signal. And that's, if we're not getting deep sleep, they can't detox properly either. So a lot of things are happening and processized in the body. So we need to really focus on getting good sleep.
So we were talking about earlier phases. Now let's get into the later postmenopause.
Yeah.
This is the maintenance, which we would
Yeah.
hope that it would go away. But this is
Yeah.
maintenance and longevity
Yeah,
years.
I like to really focus with clients on longevity when they come to me and they're in this particular phase. Not saying that weight loss can't be a part of that. A lot of women come to me wanting to have weight loss. Not that we can't do that during this, but I'm more toned to look at cardiovascular and bone density, those type of things that we need to make sure that we're really focusing on during that time, because the body, at this point, body's going to become more predictable about how it's going to react to things. Digestion tends to be a huge issue as well. We got to look at that. And this is that thing about eating at night and laying down, going to sleep, or getting done with a meal. And as soon as you get done, you go sit in the recliner. I get after my husband for this. I have to, not calling you out, G, not calling you out. But,
G.
but, everybody, I don't think people realize how bad that is on their digestion.
So here's the thing that, and God rest his soul, a dear friend of ours that passed many, many years ago, he and his wife regularly would eat dinner, and the two of them would go for a walk. And I'm like, Jim, can we do that, please?
That's what I got Greg doing.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And it also brings you back together, and it's like, hopefully it's like this calmness. You don't argue, and then then you go to bed
That's the
happy.
point,
Hopefully,
right? Yeah, right. Yeah.
Happy hormones before you go
right,
to bed.
right,
All right.
right.
We talked about protein, by the way. Protein efficiency declining, so the muscle isn't automatic anymore. And I'm telling you, it is the number one thing that I hear from all women and men of how frustrating it is, because you're like, I've lost my muscle tone.
Yeah.
I get it.
And that's how we're utilizing the protein in the body. So this is one time that you do not. It makes it harder to break down. Okay, just over years, the stomach acid has reduced. So we're producing lower stomach acid. And that's something we can work with too. If somebody works with me, I kind of help guide them through how to work with that so that isn't happening. But under eating, we'll find this is not a time to be eating small meals. This is not the time to do that. This is the time where make sure your meals, are complete in 3. They have protein, carb, and fat on each of the 3 meals. And it's not about multiple times, unless, caveat, you are diabetic and you have direction from a medical professional. I want to just make sure to state that. Don't just stop doing something you've been told to do. But
No, and I'm glad you just said it, because we say it every time that Jenny is on, or anybody that's a provider that comes on with me that is talking about health and wellness. Remember, you always have to check with your doctor for anything. Make sure that the people who are have your care underneath their guidance, that you check with them, okay? So for any of this, we're giving you information, but it's also the reason why individually you work with someone. Then they work hand in hand with your doctors, et cetera, as far as what's going on. Let me go back here for a second. Leela says, what kind of magnesium? So many different ones.
I always recommend magnesium glycinate. That one's pretty gentle on the stomach, and most people get by with that really well.
Stephanie, after I do my pool exercise, I have yogurt or a cheese stick or half a turkey sandwich and water. Is that okay to do? Uh-oh, she just smiled.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Is that your meal after you're done, or is that a snack?
That's what she's doing. Well, Stephanie, let us know.
Is that a post snack?
Right. So when are you? Okay, let's ask all these questions. When are you doing your exercise? Is it in the morning?
Yeah.
Then she said someone told me to have nuts after exercise also. So see, it sounds like she's doing it after her exercise, and it sounds to me that it's earlier in the day. Okay. Is that correct, Stephanie?
I would always follow it with a protein and a good complex carbohydrate. Because you need to restore the glycogen levels, and you also need to make sure that you're doing protein to help with the muscle tears that happen during a workout.
So her yogurt or a cheese stick?
I would not just do a cheese stick. That's mostly fat.
Or half a turkey sandwich? She is doing
water.
Yeah,
that's better. Half a turkey sandwich is better.
Okay.
Or the yogurt's fine too, but I put a little fruit or something in it.
Do you like the nuts? Just
not alone,
not by themselves. The naked aspect of it is also pairings of food.
Yeah.
Okay,
for sure.
Good questions. Keep them coming in. Keep them coming in.
Great question.
So again, we're talking about. We can't stress it enough. All of you, more protein.
Yeah. And I know
and
I know muscle mass is harder to maintain. So that's why it's important to make sure you're getting protein, but you're also pulling in that strength training.
Don't undereat either. All of you women that think I need to eat less. Okay, we're going to talk about heart health now, which is what we mentioned at the very beginning. Yeah. This conversation, cardiovascular risk fundamentally shifts after menopause, and it is so paramount because there are so many things happening. You're not eating properly, you're stressed, you're taking care of everybody else, and you might be damaging your heart.
Yeah, and so we're so busy in this world working for short-term fixes, and that's what we focus on, is whatever's going to be a short-term fix instead of a long-term fix. So this is not the time to short-term fix, ladies, men.
Nope. Exactly, everybody.
Everybody. We want to work on managing the inflammation that's going on in the body. That's going to help with like lifestyle things, food things that you're, not pouring in more toxic chemical laden foods, because that's going to just increase your inflammation, you want to really, really lean into those nutrient-dense foods, those whole foods, okay? Shop in the perimeter of the store, hitting those farmers markets. We want to really work on stability of blood sugar, and that's just eating throughout the day, making sure you're getting in those 3 meals and that they are complete in 3. When I say that, they have protein, carb. I like to use the word fiber.
Okay.
So protein, fiber, and fat. The fiber is a carb, but it's low glycemic. And then making sure we got long-term lifestyle stuff in place. And just remember, guys, and I want to go back to just the muscle thing for just a second, Monica. We've always been told walking is good for bone density, and it is. But when you get into postmenopause, that is not it alone. Do walking 100%, but make sure you're getting that weight training.
Weight training
Yeah.
is so very
Yeah,
important. And
very
I think
important.
hopefully over the years, women, you have told yourself that and you started implementing that. Okay, hydration, as I picked this up.
Yes.
Hydration and antioxidants matter more.
They do. They're
The
cellular
aging,
repair.
changing internal signals.
Yeah. And like I said, they start to fade. They naturally start to fade, so we don't think about wanting water as much. And that can be pretty, it can sneak up on you pretty quick, you know. And so it's important to make sure we're just making ourselves drink. And even if you don't like water, there's things you can do to make water fancy, like putting fruit in it.
Put fruit in it.
Yeah, do stuff like that.
What's your favorite, by the way? Because I always think about this when I go on vacation, and the very first thing when I walk up, I'm like, oh, look at the infused water. I love
Same,
it.
same.
I like watermelon and cucumber and lemon.
Yeah, all
kiwi.
of them. Yeah, all of them. We were just in Naples for that board retreat, and down by the pool, they had this every day. It was fresh
different one.
fruit,
Yep.
and it had these electrolytes. And they had someone specifically. That's all they did.
Make that water for you?
Yes,
Oh.
and every day it was different.
Can they come to my house?
I know. It's like, man, that would be so awesome.
Okay,
Yeah.
so from the hydration aspect, fading cues, natural thirst signals may
Yep.
diminish,
Yep.
leading to chronic stealthy
Stealthy
dehydration.
dehydration.
This is
Yep.
before, by the way.
Yep.
Consequences, recovery from stress,
Yep.
workouts, or illness is far
Yep.
less automatic.
Yep.
Then let's talk about the after.
Yeah. So basically, well, the slowing gears should be on the other side too. That's my fault. Sorry about that.
Okay.
The slowing gears is just like the repair process, the mechanisms. It slows down. Its natural cadence kind of slows down, and that's why we need to make sure we're putting in those antioxidants. You know, when I say that, I'm talking about foods, guys, fruits, berries, those types of things that are loaded with those types of polyphenols and stuff. But the strategy is to eat nutrient-dense foods, right? And make sure that we're very proactive in our hydration, making sure that we're getting that hydration in, being creative to help kind of bridge that gap, because those two things are going to be very, very, very important, because we already know that the cues are going to be lessened. So we're going to have to be intentional about drinking the water.
Well,
So-
intention should be that word for all of you. Intentional eating, intentional hydration, intentional taking care of yourself. Literally pick that word for a while until it actually grabs hold of you. So let's do the takeaway as we get ready to wrap up. Postmenopause is not do nothing mode.
No, it's not. You know, it's the will of just adaptation, like it says on here, but strength and mobility is going to be key for bones. We want to make sure we're working on bone strength. We want to be sure we're getting good sleep and recovery time frame in there. We want to make sure we're thinking of the heart, metabolism. We've talked about all these pieces, but we need to be proactive in the prevention. So please don't tell me that, oh, I'm through menopause, I don't need to do anything. Yes, you do. You need to be very proactive and still working on, maybe your gear shifted, but you still need to be cognizant of the heart health and the bone health for sure, and the muscle.
So this is where we're going to get you to interact as we wrap things up. Think about it or drop in right away. We've talked about the biology. So what changed the most for you? Look at this slide. Energy, sleep, weight distribution, recovery, strength, or your confidence and mobility. Can they pick more than one?
Oh, yeah, because I'm sure there will be more than one.
Yeah, I look at this and have at least 2 or 3.
Yeah, and you could
What
have-
about for you, Jenny? What changed the most for you?
You know, I would honestly say in this whole picture, I would say probably sleep was messed up for me. My strength, and I think that has to do with the adrenal fatigue too
Sure.
that am going through. I noticed a more muscle weakness. And then I would definitely say probably energy.
Energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I obviously sleep. What I just told you all this morning. Weight distribution absolutely changed for me because I
Yep.
look at pictures
Yep.
and I'm like, how do I get back to that? I want that so bad.
Yeah.
That
point.
sometimes energy. So what about for you? Again, you can pick as many as you want to.
Yeah, they can be all the
You
above.
can come back to this and say, hey, I was getting ready to head into work. I want to come back and answer that one. So energy, sleep, weight distribution, recovery, strength, confidence, mobility. So one more time, folks, your body isn't broken. It's just
No.
asking for a new strategy
Yeah,
and help it
exactly.
along in that, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't give up on yourself. So the old methods of restriction and pushing through no longer work because the rules have changed.
Right.
Postmenopause fundamentally requires an entirely different approach to care. Small biological aligned shifts create major compounding changes. And it's time we change the conversation around women's aging. Stop saying it's just something we're going to have to deal with.
Right.
I'm so tired of hearing
Surround
doctors.
you with people that support you in this aging process.
Yep. You know, we're so tired of hearing us being dismissed.
Right. Exactly.
Frustrating.
Yeah. You know, this week when we were going through my father-in-law's stuff, I actually, through the visitation line, someone said, so you're really focusing on this now? I'm like, yeah. And she goes, I'm so glad to hear you're being a voice for us women.
Amen.
And I said, Josh, she goes, I wish you would have been doing this years ago because it would have been so helpful to me. But I'm like, well, at least she's listening to our show,
Yes.
right?
And
she is
at
getting
least it's
some
being done.
information, and it's being done. Yeah, she was just like, that's so
That's
good.
the positive.
Yeah.
The positive is that it is now. Yes, we
Yeah.
all would have loved to. I have a lot of work to do. That's fine. We all
We
do
all
together.
do.
We're
I
all
still
in this
do.
together.
So
So
we're
how
all
do
in
you
it
do the
together.
work? By the way, don't do it solo. Here's the information to get in touch with Jenny. It's important to have that for you, hand in hand. She will hold your hand through this. Menopause wellness educator, nutritional therapy practitioner, founder of Menopause Well, speaker, author, and many letters because of all these boards. Jenny at jgoptimalwellness.com, at jgoptimalwellness on social media. And we'll just wrap it up with Linda saying, for me, mobility and strength and weight distribution. Okay?
Yep.
Keep them coming in.
Yeah.
Let's hear from you. I love to know our audience. So, Jenny,
Yeah.
what is the devotion we need to hear today? Overeating, shame, depression, anger, healing.
Healing. I still think it's healing.
Healing. We got to heal the body.
We
All
got to
right,
heal the body.
my friend, really good show.
Thank you.
Aha moments for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll wrap up with our devotional and we'll tell you what's on tap tomorrow. Don't go anywhere. Am I healing the Parkinson's? But I am helping it subside. I'm helping him feel better.
Oh, definitely.
Not only in the moment, but sometimes for the next day or maybe even a couple days. And that's why he keeps coming back. If it didn't feel good, you wouldn't come back.
Yeah, I
And
look
she
forward
said
to
he
it.
won't have tremors when he's on the table. And I don't know why that happens, but she'll tell me he doesn't tremor when he's on the table. So for whatever release is in his body for that period of time, it's been very beneficial.
So you just find yourself being able to calm and be in the
Exactly.
moment?
I'm more relaxed and calm.
Welcome back to the Real Monica Adams Show. As we wrap up, we always love to bring faith into play. And healing seems like the most chosen now, where it used to be fear and anxiety. But now that one's off the table, we like to choose healing. We all need this, by the way. We're on day 20 of 100 days of healing. And it's called the Healing Two-Step, right? We think about country music and two-stepping. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Isaiah 40, verse 29. Healing is most often a process, not a one-time event. Even if God chooses to miraculously heal us in a moment, we will still have to deal with emotions and memories from our painful past. And often, healing is a 2 steps forward, 1 step back journey. On a practical level, it means that behaviors and attitudes that we thought we had left behind will occasionally rear their ugly heads again. And if we are struggling to recover after an injury, we may have setbacks and roadblocks that we didn't anticipate. During these times, our attempts to find wholeness can seem never-ending. We crave an end to the struggle, and we're simply exhausted, as Jenny was just talking about today. When we find ourselves going backward, it would be easy to give up and give in. But rest assured, God does not want us to do that. If you are in a one-step back moment, take heart. The ultimate healer is still with you, and you are making progress. Give yourself some grace, by the way. Although you are tired, He's not. He loves you with an everlasting love and will uplift and uphold you. Rest in His arms and take comfort in His presence. God not only orders our steps, He orders our stops. The principal part of faith, folks, is patience. So your prayer today, God, I'm weary of this uphill battle. Give me strength to keep going and encouragement that my efforts are not in vain. Thank you for your presence. These books, by the way, somebody asked me over the weekend, where do I get these? I got ours at the Crossing in Chesterfield, but you can get them online. This one's called 100 Days of Healing. Daily Devotionals. This one from, again, Stephen Arterburn. Well, tomorrow it's a Testament Tuesday, and our sponsor, by the way, is Bridget Childress. We finally get a chance to visit with her again. If you're not familiar with Bridget, she is with Childress LNC. So she is a nurse, and she teams up with attorneys to make sense of the chaos of the medical records. Let them do it, not you, right? That's the important aspect. So when we have her on tomorrow, we are going to discuss HIPAA. What is it all about? I know a lot of times we're like, what is HIPAA, right? Your patient rights, protecting your family in healthcare, and some of the common HIPAA misunderstandings. We'll talk about all of that with Bridget tomorrow. And then Dr. Christian Schmidt will also be joining us. That's her son-in-law, and he'll be talking about the chiropractic industry on his Testament Tuesday. All of that on tap for you tomorrow. Thank you all so much for watching today. I hope you got some really great information. Do us a favor and share the show now with your friends and family so they can also have this valuable information. Until we see you tomorrow, God bless you, and remember to be kind.
The Real Monica Adams Show is brought to you by Exist Stretch. Stop by for your free consultation and 30-minute introductory stretch today.